upset. I'm alone. You broke me like a blast cone.
Oh man, it just doesn't have the same emotion, you know? There's not the same heartbreak or pain or loss. There's not even any revenge.
Okay, it's not emo enough, I get it, okay?
Well, what if we did another team, like Astralis? They're pretty emo.
Astralis to the Stars, it's so pop, it's so Katy Perry. They're not emo at all.
I think I'd be pretty sad if I was an Astralis fan.
Why don't we try something more aggressive, you know, like... You left us alone, we should have known. You're always on your phone, just chasing the throne. It's time to atone, you're not in the zone. You're gonna be in debt and have to take out a loan.
Wait, if we make a song where we're angry with Reckless, then there's no way he's gonna come back. If we make a love song, then he'll for sure come back to us.
No, he's not coming back. Reckless is like the moon, man. He comes out when it's dark and he's the light for all of us, but then, poof, he's gone. How can you trust something that just disappears on you like that?
Whoa, man. That's deep.
Yeah, astronomy, it like really speaks to me now. Reckless is totally a scorpion.
Reckless isn't a scorpion, he has 2 legs.
Are you sure scorpion is
Yeah, they play connect the dots with the stars, they make the animals.
Guys, you're forgetting what's really important.
Yeah, he's right, man. We should be focusing on Fnatic.
It's Reckless. Have you seen how sad he looks? Do you think they're taking care of him on G2? In my sleep, I dream of you. 1 and 1 makes just us 2. Your name is forever a part of me. I just want to go back to how things used to be. You're in my heart, you're in my soul. My love for you barely fits in this bowl.
What? Why do you have a bowl with an R on it?
Better question, why do you have Reckless tattooed on your arm?
What do you mean? He's 24, he's in his prime. They can't rely on packet loss to save them. If you smelled like daisies picked on a fresh spring morning and played Senna half as good as he did, maybe people would tattoo your name on their bodies too.
Do you just want to do another Reckless song, buddy? We'd have to use G2 though.
No, those guys are soulless. Grab's aged almost 1,000 years just trying to teach them the game.
My name is Reckless, but I'm weighted down. My team's trying to stop me from taking the crown. They're always inting, we'll lose all the crabs. We're gonna lose in draft, cause our coach is crabs.
Whoa. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Just do it all together?
Yeah. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, and my name is Reckless, but I'm weighted down. My team's trying to stop me from taking the crown. They're always inting, we lose all the crabs. We're gonna lose a draft, cause our coach is crabs.
Guys, keep it down. What is going on here? Take that crap off. Seriously, when are you gonna get over this phase?
It's not a phase, Trevor. This is my face.
Oh, look, all that matters is you look professional for the games. Otherwise, I'm gonna take away your cardboard Reckless.
What? You can't do that. That belongs to me. You're not even my real dad.
Okay, as riveting as this whole conversation is, can we just get the nail polish and... What is that?
I can explain. Welcome to Berlin, Germany, home of the LEC. Last week, we saw new teams ignite a spark in the race for playoffs, but as we have seen time and time again, dreams die fast in the LEC. I'm Quickshot, joined by Vedius, Medic, and our very special guest for this week, Ashley Kang, who will be hosting our interview desk. I must say, Vedius, I'm really happy to see you cleaned up for today's show.
You, hang on. Well, thank you very much. And I'm very excited to have Ashley here as well. Are you excited to see some good League of Legends for a change, Ashley?
Are we talking about good League of Legends? Okay, so are we going to get more 18-minute, 57 seconds game and Dancing Heroes? Okay, I'm so let me change the schedule really quickly. Okay, who is G2 playing against today? Okay, it's not Diamond Gaming. Okay, I'm not sure about good League of Legends, but I'm still excited.
Wow, starting with the fire already. Now, Ashley, maybe could you introduce yourself to the LEC fans that maybe don't know who you are?
Yeah, certainly. 안녕하세요. My name is Ashley Kang, an esports interviewer for a media outlet called Horizon Esports, and I'm currently based on South Korea, mostly covering the LCK. And yes, I have interviewed FLICKR before, as well as recently extending my coverage in the LEC. I'll be temporarily moving in as a guest interviewer for week 6 and week 7 of the LEC Spring Split. I am actually 20% excitement and 80% nervousness to be here. But thank you so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, so are we. The nerves do not show at all. I'm very glad you put Vedius in his place, and we'll be seeing you a lot more throughout the day. Now let's turn our attention back to the LEC and the standings. We've got a very close fight in the middle of the pack, but right at the top, G2 Esports and Rogue, they've opened up a gap from the teams below. They are definitely the clear top 2 right now.
Oh, they really are. I think the fact that G2 are now on a 4-game winning streak, that Rogue continue to improve after their off-season changes, means that we expect these teams to be fighting for those top spots at the end of the season. Historically, no team has got 10 wins and not made it into playoffs, so my expectation is G2 and Rogue will be locking those playoff spots soon.
I think that when you look at how these two teams have been playing, it's just been a joy to watch. We expected both teams to be very good at the very beginning of the split, and I think that both have delivered in very different ways. We've been seeing recently a lot more of the split pushing 1-3-1 style that we get from G2, and we've seen a lot more of the calculated calm, more controlled approach from Rogue, but that doesn't mean that it's slow. It is fast, it is ruthless, it is precise, and I feel like that both teams come up with a very clinical and very smart approach to the game, and once they find that lead, they do not let go.
I cannot wait to see what Rogue can do if they do make it to playoffs, and I'm in agreement there. They're very close to it. Just below them, Mad Lions, they're on the rise as well. Elyoya, maybe the rookie of spring. Ashley will actually be interviewing him a little bit later, but let's talk about Mad Lions and what we're seeing from them. Are you surprised to see them in 3rd right now?
Well, a little, yeah, because I think that coming into this year, there were a lot of question marks just around how good Mad would be. Where would they fall? Would they be below a potentially rising Schalke? Would they struggle to introduce some of their new players? But I think that their 2 new players have really been making a name for themselves. In particular, Elyoya for me in the jungle. Just look at his stats alone. You can see that he's currently sitting in top 2 in many of these early game positions, but I think that he does bring that cerebral approach that we were promised. When Max talked about him at the beginning of the year, he said that he's supposed to bring more insight, he's supposed to give more direction to the team, and he's supposed to offer more, and I think that we're seeing a lot more of that for this new Mad Lions roster.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people put his name in it for Rookie of the Season, Rookie of Spring, alongside Trimby from Rogue. I think those have to be the 2 main contenders. If Elyoya can continue his early game dominance we've seen in the last couple of weeks, his name is definitely in the ring, in my opinion.
Okay, now I want to challenge you just a little bit, right? If we assume that G2, Rogue, and Mad Lions make it to playoffs, there's 3 spots remaining, and there's currently 4 teams competing for that. Fnatic, SK, Schalke, and XL. Let's talk about these teams, and maybe Vedius, you know, how do we approach this, and who are you favoring when you look forward?
Well, I think it's really interesting how this kind of middle of the pack has developed, because it's been very different stories for both. XL and Schalke kind of started off the split on a bit of a high. They were on a winning streak. They were actually competing for top spots only a few games ago, whereas SK and Fnatic were really struggling. But now those positions seem to be reversed. Fnatic and SK seem to be finding their footing, and while Fnatic did come off of a 0-2 week, I think that we can see that aggressive, fast, limit-testing playstyle come through for them. And while it does still need some refinement, they have a clear identity, but the same can't necessarily be said for a Schalke and an XL, who seem to be mix and matching what is good and maybe even figured out by many of the other teams.
Yeah, and I actually think that's why we don't have 4 teams in one block in that middle, in my opinion. I think we have Fnatic and SK who continue to evolve and continue to adapt and really are finding their playstyles, who I expect to make it into playoffs pretty much without any question. And then we have Schalke and XL who had strong playstyles at the start of the season but are continually being found out by their oppositions. And we saw even from XL last week, they tried something new. They tried early game compositions, and it really didn't work for them. So unless they've been able to really develop that in this week, I could see XL starting to fall down the standings.
Interesting. Fnatic coming off the O2 week, playing G2, who look to be in form right now. That's a very bold, confident statement.
I'm not saying they'll win against G2. I'm saying they're going to make it into playoffs. Like, maybe they beat G2, we'll see about that one, but my expectation is that Fnatic will have a winning record for the rest of the split.
And now, Vedius, let's not forget, down at the bottom of the table, we've got 3 teams that we're currently assuming not really going to make it to playoffs, but there is still time for upsets, and they could play Heartbreak.
I think that Astralis is definitely a team to watch, even though their win record hasn't suddenly been positive with the introduction of MagiFelix. They're on an upward trend, and I think that they really are starting to see their footing. And if the jungle meta does shift more towards tanks, I think that's Zanzara's playground, and he's already popping off. I think this could become his place to dominate.
Skarner did get nerfed, though, on 11.4.
Yes, well, maybe, I don't know. Look, that was a fantastic segue, because Week 6 also brings with it a brand new patch, which was one of the talking points in the Euphoria podcast.
Patch 11.4. We were promised no gigantic patches in the middle of seasons anymore, but they lied to us. This patch is huge. There's basically an entire jungle rework. But as 2 resident jungle experts, what actually matters in this patch? Like, what do people actually need to be aware of for pro play?
So the jungle XP camps got nerfed slightly, levels 1 through 9, which is the 5 levels of jungle, and the gold got reduced a tiny bit too. So basically just nerfing the power farming junglers who can just sit there and get the same level of solo laners with the same XP and the same gold. And essentially just want to take that out of the game to make jungle more of an overall impactful role in the game in terms of like just ganking more and like being more on the map rather than just sitting there jungle power farming and then 1v1ing everyone. So I think for me it's like a 10 to 15%, I don't know what the exact math is, reduction on the XP and gold in sense. So yeah.
Yeah, in my experience from working with Riot about junglers is that they want junglers to not be ganking so much, but also to not be farming so much. And that's why Scuttle Crab is a thing, because they want you to fight the other jungler over Crab now. Honestly, these changes just reduce the power overall. Like, honestly, I look at it and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, the farming junglers are dead. And I don't think that's true. I think like they are weaker overall than they were on the previous patch. But realistically, like, if having levels and gold is still a good thing, you can still play Nidalee and get a lot of that. And you will get more than that than the Jarvan that is ganking.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is, first couple of things are, it's reduced a tiny bit. You can't really feel it. I've talked to a lot of junglers and scrims. They don't really feel it too much. It's not a huge impact. It only hurts a tiny bit. And I think the jungle will basically be, right now it's like 80% carry junglers. I think now it's going to go down to more of a 50-60% carry junglers, and tank junglers can slot in things like Jarvan, Gragas, Zac, Sejuani, all these things, and it'll be more of an even ground for both sides of the jungle meta. I don't think it's going to shift it fully to tank. I don't think it's going to make carry dead. It's going to be more of an even playing field.
I'm not going to get my hopes up, but that sounds like balanced and potentially healthy jungle state where you could play a tank.
Jungle
or a
will
carry.
never be healthy.
Yeah,
it's just not possible.
It's not possible.
You'll still get level 2 gank Dracos and you'll still be mad. So don't say it's balanced.
It doesn't matter what level I get ganked, I'm always mad. That's my secret, Kadril.
The problem is not junglers, it is stupid laners that don't know how to play against jungle.
Yeah, Kadril, to quote Kadril, jungle diff is always support diff.
It's true. If your support's always
and support
for crab,
diff is always ADC diff,
always roaming to your buffs, just killing me. I'm Bard and my team has not me under his tower.
No matter what role you are, there is a plausible argument as to why it's literally everyone else's fault that it's bad, unless you're getting solo killed.
It's true. Top is jungle diff, mid is support and jungle diff, AD is support diff, and jungle is support diff. So what's that tell you? Support is broken.
I love that. Patch breakdown, in-depth discussion on the jungle, and the conclusion is supports are broken. You can watch Euphoria every Wednesday at lec.gg/euphoria. Look, talking about some small changes, not expecting big things to come in, and also pro players tend to be a little bit slow to adapt. Vedius?
Right. I mean, look, even support items got nerfed. You know what I mean?
Support items. Sure, support items.
Yeah, I think that overall the changes were small. The biggest changes I think we'll actually see in the bot lane with 2 of the big picks in Samira and Kai'Sa. Well, I say big pick, upset Samira being nerfed. Could introduce some of the new AD carries like Jinx, maybe Varus as well, maybe. But as you rightly said, pros can be a little slow to adapt to big changes. Often they like to stick to what they know until someone kind of pushes the mold. The question is who will be that first person, which can then kind of set the trends for what this meta will look like.
I think Jinx with Conqueror has been making a name for itself in solo queue, especially in high ELO European solo queue. So my expectation is that we'll see some Jinx, but as you say, we'll see who it is who actually brings it out.
It's time to get excited if Jinx actually makes her way to the Rift. Look, we'll see the impact of this patch throughout the weekend. Everything is building up towards the epic showdown of G2 and Fnatic.
G2 and Fnatic has become the greatest rivalry in League of Legends in the West. For so long, we've associated Rekkles with Fnatic as the staple for these teams. He became Fnatic's star and a hope for the team, even when they were struggling.
Closing in, there's the slow. Xiao goes over the wall. Rekkles comes in and gets the pentakill. They want the style points. Rekkles is ready. He's got the grit. He's got the skill. Looking for a pentakill. We're in Sweden. The Swedish guy gets a pentakill. Rockstar wants to provide the CC.
Ripple for Rekkles. He wants a little bit more. Can he get anything else in the exchange? The Quadra. I cannot believe it. The pentakill for Rekkles.
Eventually, he was the last player of the old guard left. With expectation comes isolation.
In general, as a player, like Rekkles has an aura around him, right? It's something that makes him Rekkles, right? It's Rekkles.
It just kind of happened naturally that I had more value than everyone else in the team before in Fnatic, and I personally think that's wrong. So I'm much happier now being like the new guy for a team and not have all that pressure. Now, I mean, Fnatic just now looks like a super aggressive team where everyone's, you know, on the same page, and I can clearly see if I was a problem for that. So I'm happy for them, and I mean, I'm happier here too now. So just a huge win-win.
The void that Rekkles left on Fnatic, though, has allowed someone else to come and step up.
When he dashes over, he turns back, and he takes down Rekkles. That was personal.
During the pause, the only thing I could think about is how I snapped Rekkles' neck, like...
Whip has always been the guy we played for. He's a carry top laner. I mean, he can play tanks as well, but even when he played tanks, he was kind of playing them as carry, so... The biggest issue they could have run into the split was not knowing who's the guy for the team, and I think Whippo clearly took that role.
I don't really care about farm. Farming for me is just a means to reach the point where I can kill enemy champions. If I'm stronger than enemy top laner, like I make sure the game feels like it's 4v5. I think that's something that I do pretty well, and I think that's one main reason why Fnatic's looking that strong when I'm ahead, because it's pretty hard to play 4v5.
With Rekkles joining G2, we have been able to see him start to develop with the new team.
I think for G2, when they lose, they don't care as much as we used to in Fnatic. So I feel like I can be just myself, and they don't get annoyed by my ways, which I think maybe was a problem before.
We are starting to see the emergence of two teams with different styles. One based purely on emotion and aggression, the other based on chaos and tempo. We have watched these two teams battle for the title since 2016. The rivalry and the passion has been ignited once again, and we get to watch these two titans fight for the soul of the LEC.
And welcome back to the Analyst Desk. Medic is getting ready to cast the opening games. So we've got Kadril joining us to hype up our match of the week. It is a rematch from just a few weeks ago, and going into the first iteration of Fnatic versus G2. Fnatic were on a 0-2, they lost the previous weekend. They stepped up, they took down G2. It felt personal. You heard from Whippo there. The only thing I thought about was snapping Rekkles' neck. And we're setting up for the same thing again.
Yeah, I think that whenever you watch these two teams play, regardless of what their current form looks like, they always step up for this big matchup. And like, there is a real rivalry between the two organizations. My big question is, what sort of Fnatic will we see? Because I think that during the regular season, it has been very much about aggression, limit testing, kind of going for fights and skirmishes whenever you see an opportunity. But I do question whether or not that is just them pushing to their limits as a result of it being the regular season, or sometimes that over-aggression, sometimes they're not paying attention to the state of the map, and that could be a big problem for them leading into playoffs that I'll be keeping my eyes on.
I think that's a really big point, right? G2 have essentially taken the passivist point of what Fnatic basically had. You know, Rekkles would pull them back, and now G2 has that, whereas Fnatic are just going forwards now. So I think that if G2 can tame the aggression, that they will always have an advantage just based on how they play out the lanes and how they play out the jungle and just their way of playing the map. But Fnatic's over-aggression can get them leads which you wouldn't expect in some ways, and then they can just snowball. That's pretty hard.
This time round, it'll be G2 that need to get revenge. Maybe it'll be personal for G2. That'll be the end of the week. It's going to be a massive crescendo. But the opening score will have you on the edge of your seats. Mad Lions will be taking on SK. Both of these teams are on a 3-game winning streak. Only one of them will continue that, followed by XL Misfits. And we'll see what we get today. It's going to be a new patch. It's going to be a new week. And before we look at Mad versus SK, let's check in with Ashley Kang and Alyoya.
Thank you, Quickshot, and thank you for joining me, Alyoya. You and Mad Lions are currently on a 3-game win streak. How are you feeling about Mad Lions' current performance and momentum, especially in the last 2 weeks?
I feel like these last 2 weeks we have shown like a way better phase that we have shown before, but I still think that we are not at our peak, and like we still need like to improve on pretty much every aspect of the game. So I still feel like we still have like much more room of improve, but I would say that right now we're in a good spot.
Okay, it does look like Mad Lions is still have that hunger to improve, and it only feels like yesterday when you first debuted for Mad Lions, and now we're already heading into the last third of the regular split. What are your expectations, or what are particular areas that you want to improve for the remaining 3 weeks?
A personal thing I always want to work on is like the way I approach games, because I still get a bit nervous, and it's something I need to like for sure have controlled, because this cannot affect in playoffs. So I want to like for sure take control of my nerves in game, and yeah, I would say that's like the main aspect I want to focus on these weeks.
And you will be once again facing many teams in the LEC, and in particular, you will be playing against Misfits again in week 8 in the Super Week. And we realize there are some narratives between you and Razork. Could this rematch possibly be a revenge match for you or Mad Lions in general?
It is for sure. Like last time, we had like this game, and the Razor was actually he got the winning side of it, but this time I'm gonna be the one winning. And yeah, like last time it felt so bad to lose against him, so I'm not losing against him again.
Okay, thank you so much for this conversation. And one final question. Razor debuted for the LEC last year, and coming into this year, many people first saw you as a rival to Razor, but since then you have carved your own name in the LEC. What do you think about your own growth so far in the LEC, and where do you want to go from here?
I feel like I think I have shown like an okay performance until now. I don't think I have like been like particularly good or anything, but I feel like from now on it's just gonna be better, or at least that's what my expectations are. Like right now that I'm feeling way more confident on myself and on my team, I think it's just like I'm gonna play way better. So yeah, I would say it was an okay performance, but like nothing too good or anything.
Okay, and certainly we will definitely look forward to more performance from Alyoya. Thank you for catching up with me once again, and good luck versus the SK today. Let's take some more insights for the. Oh, thank you. Let's take some more insight on the matchup between the two of those formed teams in the LEC. Back to you, Trevor.
Thank you so much, Ashley. And of course, for everyone watching, Ashley is based in South Korea, so some of the delay will be a little longer than usual. I mean, great interview. Alyoya is somebody that we've talked about as being a cerebral jungler. What do you make of his performance? He was quite critical, but with an air of confidence.
I just love his general personality and the way he thinks about the game. You know, he's so self-critical. Even if a play doesn't go wrong, it goes wrong, and it's not really his fault, he'll still find a way to blame himself. So he always finds this way to push himself and level up based on mistakes. You know, it's like a Super Saiyan-esque. He gets a punch, he just powers up from it. So I really like his mentality about how he approaches the game.
And I think that what he's shown so far in the LEC is good. I think that he has helped make Mad a better team. And as he rightly says, they think that they need to improve everything, which is obviously a great mentality, but also shows the room with which they can grow. So I'm excited to see what direction this Mad Lions roster takes, and if they can actually carve their way into the top 3 in the LEC.
So if Mad Lions do have to improve, break down what you see when you look at these teams. What is Mad Lions' style? How do they play? And similarly for SK, once we set the scene, then we'll dive into the matchup.
Well, I think that Mad Lions is a very aggressive team. I think that, funnily enough, they remind me a lot of Fnatic, but I think the biggest difference is the way in which Mad Lions draft is not the same way in which Fnatic draft. And I think that regardless of what comp Mad has, they like to play through the bot side into mid. They like to make sure that mid has a lot of control. They like having some insurance in the late game. And I think they have a lot of reliance on their team fighting to be able to carry out games towards the end. I think it's very explosive and sometimes volatile because of how aggressive they like to be in the early game. But I think they're a lot of fun to watch because they seem to have quite a lot of things going for them with the compositions that they draft, then give them lots of options later on.
Yeah, I think Vedius hit the point super well there. I just think that Mad Lions are a team that play through bot, and that's what brings them success. But this volatility in bot and this inconsistency that they're showing, you know, if you're going for these bot 2v2s in the first 3 levels and losing them, it's so hard to play through bots when the enemy bot's just so much stronger. So SK got the better handle on the last time that these two teams faced, and I think both junglers generally in this matchup do want to play for their bot side. So I think these 2v2s going either one way could swing the game very, very hard.
Kadril, Vedius, which 2v2 do you favor in today's matchup? We've been very excited about Treats. We've, got an example already where SK came out on top, but is SK's duo better than Mad Lions?
In the 2 versus 2, I think I would put a little bit more faith in SK's bot lane right now, personally. I know, I appreciate that's a bit of a risk, but I think that because they are a little bit more reserved and aware of their limits, and I think they respect their jungler a little bit more.
Why are you shaking your head?
I think Kazi and Kaiser, although they've shown so much int in bot, I still think that the amount of aggression they have, if they tone it down a bit, I think this is one of the best duo bots we've got in Europe. Yes, Treats and Jezu are looking good, but over the last year, I think this is one of the best duo bots we've ever seen.
Consistency versus ceiling.
Yeah, and you look at like the historic behind this bot lane with the Wukong Center, all these things, just showing up innovative picks and just making sure that they're a staple as a really strong bot lane in Europe. Jezu and Treats have a little bit more to prove to me, although they did smash them in the last time they faced. I think Mad Lions bot lane were just inting it a little bit.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about expectations and predictions, Vedius. Who do you think is favored to win today and why?
Well, I do still think that Mad Lions should be favored to win, because while this bot lane is very explosive, I think that what we've been seeing is a steady improvement of the top jungle coming out from the side of Mad Lions, and I think that that is where one of the biggest difference makers can be. GenX has been on the steady upswing as well, but I have a little bit more confidence in Armut and Elioya than I do right now in SK.
I would say it's a very complicated matchup in the way that I think that the supports play a lot differently to each other. I think that Kaiser really wants to pair up with Elioya and play around the map and just get his lanes ahead. Although Kazi will follow him a lot in these plays, I think SK is slightly different in a way where Treats will stay with Jezu and Tinks will pair up with them rather than support joining the jungler. So they're kind of mismatched in a way of how they join each other in fights and how they move around the map together. So I think if they can find those weaknesses in each other, then they can exploit them.
Who wins? Because you danced around, you didn't give me an
I think Mad
answer
Lions
or a
wins.
prediction.
I think Mad Lions wins. I think Mad Lions is one of the top teams we've got here.
Okay, well, there we go. Mad Lions currently sitting in 3rd. Let's see if they can continue the win streak today. For a closer look at the SK bot lane, however, here's the newest episode of Player Spotlight.
Level 2. It's like Kaiser finds a way to engage. Jezu's now going to be in trouble, but the exhaust is there. They're now trying to turn it for Karzi's exhaust is now falling away, and he's going to be in trouble. Treats walking forward. The auto. Where's the cadence at? Oh, the thumbs up, but is it enough? Yes, it is.
Welcome to the LEC, Jesus.
Of course, I enjoy playing with Treat. Super talented, and I think he's really like boosting the team as well. Like we are all quite rookies, but he knows a lot about the games, and it's just really valuable to work with him in the lane, and he's teaching me a lot.
Sandsar's gonna throw another hook. The flash, the hook on Treats hits the perfect target. The sidestep is not what the team needed. Immediate first blood, though.
The mechanics from Treats were so good this game.
Goes in with the Weaver's War now as they look for the bait. Flash forward, Magnet Storm draws them all into the midst.
Fight here, it's a very big gamble. The initiation though, Elioya just trapped in the pit with the entire team. Keep your eyes on the Ornhorn going in though, there's already one member down. Karzi gonna get to lead it right up.
There's definitely a chance for me to show what I'm worth and to work with all the rookies and improve together.
The growth from Treats especially has been great to watch. I think the amount of pop-off moments you've had on Jarvan on Thresh like this is really, really nice to see. And I think it's been a long time coming, I think.
Ult comes through.
VTO not going to land anything quite yet. Stun card goes down as Razzle. The Magnet Storm locks them all in place. Razzle's the first to fall. And next up on the menu is Vander. It's a double for Jezu.
Bot lane for this team, especially leveling up week after week. And it's a project that I'm getting more and more excited about the more time that they have on stage.
In the summer will be a really strong team despite having a lot of rookies. We're confident in ourselves and in our abilities, and I think it makes us improve way faster than other teams.
They're doing fantastic. I think the bot lane is stepping up massively as they need to. They could be the carries that we're looking out for in the future.